When we think of the word detachment in the Western world, there is a special connotation to the word that can be confusing. One of the definitions in the English Oxford Dictionary calls detachment a state of being aloof. And we can all imagine an aloof person. We can all remember a boyfriend or a girlfriend who never seemed to care much about our feelings and never knew how to comfort us when we were sad. We can think of a classmate who didn't really participate in a project or who wouldn't share their ideas because they had kind of this aloofness about them, like they were above it all. We can all remember a boss who never really paid attention to our workload, or a parent who you could never quite get close enough to. So this is what aloof means, and it's really not very pleasant. And so, detachment in this sense is not what is meant by spiritual detachment. It is not a spiritual way to live. Being aloof is a hurtful way to treat people and an irresponsible, dispassionate way of interacting with the world. We should never be aloof towards others, especially our loved ones. Remember that the majority of Eastern religions were translated into English only about 100 years ago, during the early 20th century, which is the second industrial revolution. So it was the height of progress to think of human beings as machines. And so detachment as being mechanical, robotic, logical, and emotionless seemed to be a rather profound idea. Again, this idea seemed like the height of progress to the Western world. One of the great advances in communication of the 21st century is the field of localization, which is an industry that seeks to adapt creative content to specific cultures. Localization is not just interpretation. At times, creative decisions are made to preserve meaning across languages and culture. Prior to beginning this podcast, I actually worked as a localization writer and a project manager for many years in that industry, so I was able to witness firsthand how relevant localization has become, not only to sharing information accurately across countries and cultures, but also to foster deeper understanding between people of different languages. So, spiritual detachment from a localization perspective does not mean being aloof, robotic, mechanical, hyperlogical, or unreachable. A better word for spiritual detachment is to become easygoing. And we all know what an easygoing person is like. They're very pleasant. They're laid back. They don't get offended easily or take things personally. They don't have strong preferences for politics, food, or activities. They probably tend to avoid conflict. They get along with everyone. They're a peacemaker. You probably won't find an easygoing person going out to high-class restaurants and criticizing their meal. They're fine with whatever. And chances are, when you're having a bad day or someone has hurt your feelings, you call up that easygoing friend to vent to them, because they're always objective and impartial, and they can see both sides of a situation, while still understanding, usually, how important it is to be present for you and to validate your feelings. So we like easygoing people. They are not aloof at all. And we like laid-back people. They're the voice of reason. They're calm and reassuring. They're compassionate. They have a certain detachment from worldly things that is down to earth and refreshing. We feel grounded, seen, and accepted by easygoing people. We're kind of reminded to take the long road, smell the flowers, and really just settle into life. So this is what spiritual detachment is really like. It's not being aloof, it's being easygoing. Detachment, or non-attachment, is one of the central ideas in Buddhism and Hindu philosophy. In both Buddhism and Hindu religions, the concept of attachment is the primary cause of suffering in the world. Attachment, that is, the inability to practice or embrace detachment is viewed as the main obstacle towards a peaceful and wholesome life. So we don't want to be too attached to things. Attachment makes us suffer. So let's talk about this idea of attachment versus detachment and how attachment gives rise to suffering. So I'm going to tell you a story about attachment. There was once a young girl who really wanted a puppy. She begged and begged for a puppy, but her mother did not have the time or energy to take care of a dog, so her mother told the little girl no. Her mother said that when the little girl grows up and has her own house, she can get a pet dog. And the little girl was very upset. She cried and cried. She was especially sad when her best friend got a new dog. She didn't understand why everyone seemed to have a puppy and not her. She pestered her mother for years. Even in high school, she would ask for a puppy on her birthday or at Christmas, but her mother still said no. This little girl was very attached to this idea of getting a puppy, you see. And when she couldn't have one, it felt like the whole world was ending. How could she ever be happy without a little dog of her own? When that little girl grew older and she went off to college, she discovered that adult life was very busy. Taking classes, living in a dorm with roommates, working a part-time job was all too stressful for her to take care of a dog. And she thought about her mother's refusal to get a puppy when she was younger, and she laughed because now she understood having a dog is a big responsibility. She was able to have compassion for her mother. Now she understood the stress her mother must have been under, raising children and working as a single mom. And so this little girl detached from this deep, heartfelt desire to have a dog. She became much more willing to wait for the right time. She became detached from her desire, and so she stopped suffering. With compassion, she forgave her mother for denying her all of those years. And we might say, at least where having a puppy is concerned, that she became more easygoing. Considering this story, we can see that the little girl's attachment to her desire to have a puppy led to years of suffering. We can see that her desire was actually idealized in many ways. The reality of owning a dog would not have been as simple or likely as fun as her idealized version. After she detached from her desire, she stopped suffering, and she was able to forgive her mother. Sometimes, when we want something very much, we feel like we will die if we don't get it. Just like the little girl thought she would never be happy without a puppy. We think, if I can't have that new house in that nice neighborhood, I'll be miserable for the rest of my life. If I can't get my dream job, I'll be a failure. If I can't get that new car, or if I can't have that new cell phone, or the body type that I want, or if I can't be famous, or if I can't have a large group of loving friends, or if I can't find my soulmate and get married, or if I can't have kids, then I will never be happy. Everyone is attached to some sort of desire. But not everything in life will come to us. That's a guarantee. When we don't get what we want in life, sometimes we have this knee-jerk reaction. We blame God. God, why didn't you give me that new job? God, why can't I conceive a child? God, why haven't I found my soulmate? Why do you not give me what I want? And of course, we cite Bible verse and comfort ourselves by thinking, if it's meant for me, it will come in God's timing. And this is a way of detaching. This is detachment. Because the goal of spiritual practice is to want little for ourselves and accept God's will in our life. Or, in the words of Taoism, to go with the flow and master the art of Wu Wei. Or, in the words of Buddhism or Hinduism, to become detached from our desires. By becoming detached, we make the personal I, the ego, smaller and less powerful. So this can be very painful at times because we tend to form our identity around our attachments, our desires, and our goals in life. And this sort of false identity that we build around our desires and our possessions is what is called the ego. The ego is the little self. It likes to cling to things, from which it forms a sort of externalized identity. So detaching from a goal, a marriage, a career, or a dream can feel like we're losing parts of ourselves. And actually, it is good to lose these parts of ourselves, even though it can be very painful and devastating, because they were never really us to begin with. In Christianity, we say that God is pruning you, like the parable of the vine in John 15:2. In other spiritual traditions, we say we must detach from what makes us suffer so that we can thin out the ego. So let us examine the root of these attachments that we feel as our identity. Many times it is our culture that plants our desires. For instance, many girls grow up watching romantic movies and reading romance novels and dreaming of the day that they will find their prince charming. And this is a cultural narrative provided to us through storytelling. And it's very powerful. Storytelling can contain powerful subconscious programming. So these stories from childhood, these fairy tales or folklore, are unconscious programs that we become attached to. We learn to idealize romantic love because of the TV shows we watch. We believe that romantic love always provides a happy ending. And that's what we really want, isn't it? It's to be happy all the time, right? So we spend decades of our lives looking for that perfect relationship with this high-minded ideal of what love should be. Because that's what the movie makers and the poets and the authors all write about. And the more attached we are to that narrative, the harder it is for us to detach from it when our marriage fails, or when we can't find the right person to settle down with, or when life just doesn't take the turn that we want it to take. We believe we've missed out on happiness. But if we can detach from that narrative, detach from this idea of romance and our idealized desire for romantic love, detach from what we think we need from love, we find happiness is right there waiting for us. It never went anywhere. Happiness is actually our natural state without all of these attachments and stories that we are trying to live out in our lives. And if we think about it, the more easygoing we are, the more we can buffer these little ups and downs and disappointments in life. The less we want for ourselves, the freer we are to be happy with what we have. So the desire for fame is another example of attachment. As creative artists, we feel if our music or creativity is never recognized by the masses, we cannot be happy. Or as the everyday person, we idealize famous people as living these perfect lives. They seem so very happy. And how wonderful to have strangers running up to get your autograph and admiring you all over the world. Who wouldn't want to be showered in that kind of attention? Who doesn't want to feel special? But understand that fame is a function of capitalism. The true purpose of famous people is to sell things. Fame is an invention of marketing campaigns. It is not given by merit, nor have these people earned anything for themselves. They are not exceptionally good people, nor exceptionally educated, nor exceptionally even that talented. Fame was invented in order to keep you buying into a lifestyle or a trend. It fuels capitalism, and it is nothing more than mind control. So detach from this idea of fame. Learn to value the gifts and the talents that you have been given, and you will find happiness is right there within you all along. And this is called self-esteem. The truth is, if we have no expectations and no demands of the world, we can be happy all the time. We can focus our love towards people like how a sunbeam nurtures a flower. The sunbeam has nothing to gain from the flower. It has no needs of its own, and yet that sunbeam sustains the flower's life. And this is what love really is. But we don't grow up knowing that, and it's not always modeled for us in our families or in our culture. But we have to learn to love. Did you know that? It's not something just given to us naturally. There's this attachment system and group bonding and hormones and survival mechanisms and lust. All of these are riddled with need and easily triggered or swayed by circumstances. But love, real love, we actually have to learn how to love. And love is not what culture or society presents it to be. People in authority don't necessarily know what love is either. They are also still learning. Love is that thing that gives itself away and asks for nothing in return. It restores life, it heals us, it grants forgiveness, it inspires joy. It is absolute freedom from attachment or desire. It is love for the sake of love. It is wholeness itself. It is pure and selfless and wise. As the Bible says, God is love. And we cannot love if we cannot detach from our own needs and expectations of what we want love to be. So if we can master this kind of love, this selfless, unchanging, all-encompassing, impartial, and easygoing sort of love, then we discover something very rare and special. We discover that this pure form of love is actually the only quality in life that never changes. In Buddhist philosophy, the idea of detachment goes hand in hand with this concept of impermanence. The world is impermanent. And there's this song by Simon and Garfunkel called The Boxer, and the lyrics of the song perfectly demonstrate this concept. After changes upon changes, we're all more or less the same. And I'm sure you've already noticed over the course of your life that we feel like we have changed 100 times, and yet somehow we are still more or less the same. With time, over the course of our lives, our memories fade and become unreliable. We age, and yet even then, the core of us is still there. So this is the concept of impermanence found in Buddhism. Impermanence means that life is always changing. Events, people, even emotions come in waves, like a great ocean of cause and effect. Just like how the little girl who wanted the puppy so badly eventually went off to college. The world changed. She moved. She grew up. Her mother knew that would happen, but the little girl didn't. Only when she was older did she understand her mother's wisdom. And so in the same way, when something in life doesn't work out for us, and we're not receiving the thing we desire the most, we must trust in a higher mother's wisdom. We must trust that in these never-ending tides of coming and going, of impermanent change, there is a reason why we have not received what we asked for. And the reason is usually a good one. And that's the game of life, isn't it? That everything is always changing. And it's the fun part too. Every day, you don't know what might happen. It might rain overnight and the backyard will be flooded. Or that apple seed you planted might finally sprout. Or you might receive a package from a friend in the mail. Life is unexpected that way, and that's the fun. But we must have a bit of wisdom to see that our desires are only momentary. They only relate to our current position in life. And so living for our desires is a bewildering and unsatisfying way to live. We must live for something greater than our personal desires to derive any satisfaction in life. Of course, living to serve a family, a job, or a community is one way to do that. But in my experience, the most satisfying way to live is by seeing all of your life as spiritual practice and dedicating every day to that practice and making it your cornerstone, your foundation, that one point of permanence in the middle of the ocean with unpredictable tides, that rock and stability in the midst of the storm, the slow internal progression that leads to truth and higher awareness, and of course, higher love. For all of these changes to be taking place over the decades of our lives, there must be something permanent and substantial underneath it all, some pure core of life that is never changing. It is deeper than our ego identity. It is deeper than these Christmas tree ornaments that we wear, our body weight, our eye color, our various hobbies and interests, our yoga classes or Bible studies, our family name, our country of origin, our college degree, our zodiac sign. We think of these things as part of our identity, but they are impermanent. Most importantly, they disappear when the body dies, so they can't be real. But something is not changing within you. Something is always there. It never wavers, it never sleeps, it doesn't even dream. It is constant and continuous and functional and sound. If you lose your arm, it does not flinch. If you suffer through grief, it does not cry. It wears 100,000 masks, and every face becomes its mirror. It is untouchable and imperishable, and when you die, it does not die. So we don't usually follow the teaching of detachment and impermanence to its full conclusion, since everything in this world is constantly moving and changing. We should cleave ourselves to the one thing that does not move and does not change, that you, in the heart of you, that pure and eternal essence of love, the spiritual transcendent self, who is the one who sustains all life.